Life speaks. It speaks through struggles and success, through music and messages, the preconceived and the unexpected. Whether you are in the depths of the valley or in the midst of your mountaintop experience, everyone needs to be encouraged from time to time. Here we will share stories of strength, testimonies of triumph, verses of victory, observations, and information meant to touch the heart and uplift the soul, to keep you on your path of purpose and navigate this thing called life with power and authority. This is Andrea L. Hines, and I'm your host for When Life Speaks, here on ALH Broadcasting, an affiliate of the Streaming Inspirational Broadcast Network. I am glad you accepted the invitation to join us tonight. There's something in this broadcast just for you, and if it is going to be a blessing to your life, it will be to someone else as well. So share, tag, start a watch party, and invite someone you know to join us. Then turn down the volume of life and get ready to receive, so that when life speaks, you'll speak life. Well, good evening, everyone. This is Andrea L. Hines. I'm your host for When Life Speaks, and I welcome you to the program this evening. So good to have you join us, and it's good to be here today on this Thursday evening. This is one of our E2 segments, and you know that's a time when I just come on and I just read something encouraging to you. It's an evening of encouragement, and I usually pick two victory verses, two verses in rhyme that that I have and want to share with you. This is a good night to just kind of kick back and relax. And we always tell you to turn down the volume of life when you come down to When Life Speaks and join us in the evening. So this is the kind of evening we are going to have tonight. And we're going to be talking about the comparison trap. The comparison trap. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you there's so much going on and so much happening. One of our guests, Paula Obi, who was on talking about transformation. This has been a big week for her. Her first book was released on Valentine's Day. It's called Adria's Transformation. And she is having a book launch and book reading on this Saturday, coming up on the 18th. It's going to be here in Durham, North Carolina at 3800 Hillsborough in the Empire Room. So if you are interested in attending that in support of Paula Obi, just let me know. Send me an email to speaklifewithandrea@gmail.com and I will get you all of the details. And if you want her book, you can go to amazon.com and all other places where you usually get your online books, and it will be there and available for you. It's a beautiful story, and one that I know you will enjoy reading. So that is going to be going on. We've got some things coming up in March, and I'm going to wait and tell you about those. Pastor Steve is going to be with us next week. He is our leadership guru, and he's going to be coming on with some great leadership information and tips and tools. And it's always a good evening when Pastor Steve comes on and joins us. I'm having a reading for His Glory coming up in April the 29th. And I've got more information about that, but circle that on your calendar and circle June 10th on your calendar. We're going to have a big celebration then, and just a lot going on. And if you have any events, any community things happening, if you are a nonprofit organization and you would like to get some information out, be sure to contact me at speaklifewithandrea@gmail.com. And I will be more than happy to be able to share that information with my listening audience. Paula Obi, I just got finished talking about you and and your book signing on Saturday. Tell me what time it is. I think the time is either 1:30 to 5:30 or 1 to 5. If you put that time in the comment section, we can pop it up on the screen. But I know you're excited about it. We are excited for you. Hey there, Bernice. Good evening to you, and good evening to you, Francina. Glad to have you in the house this evening. This is a good segment to share. This is a good one to share, if I do say so myself, because I think it is something that all of us go through, and all of us well, we just don't need to. It's not good for us and not healthy for us. Thank you, Paula. 1:30 to 5. 1:30 to 5. She is so excited. We are excited for her. So just get comfortable. I just want you to get comfortable because this is a night that I'm going to put something into your hearing. And I think it's something that is going to help you because I know it helps me along the way. And it's about this thing called the comparison trap. The comparison trap is the habit of measuring your life against others and can become one of the most toxic behaviors that we engage in. It will cripple your confidence and has the potential to derail your destiny. When we focus on what others have or are doing, it takes away the joy from being who you are, your own life, and anchors your attention on what you think you're missing. That's what the comparison trap is. Hello, Bahamas. Glad to have you in the house, Freeport. Wonderful, wonderful. Always good to see you come in. Welcome, welcome. So let me go on and get started and tell you about this comparison trap. You must avoid the tendency to look at what others have or what they've done. When you do, you become dissatisfied with you or how far you may have come. Let me give you an example of how the trap is set. It can start with your self-image at the wishing well of regret. You wish you had a better job, a finer car or house. You wish you had more money in the bank or perhaps a more loving spouse. You say to yourself, if I had what the other guy had, I could excel too. But whenever you perceive has escaped your grasp, let me go back. Whatever you perceive escaped your grasp was never meant for you. Whatever you perceive escaped your grasp was never meant for you. And be careful of social media with people presenting themselves as that deal, because if you see what's behind the post, you'll know most of it isn't even real. Your self-image begins to take a hit. And let me explain what I mean. For any one of us, this could be a very familiar scene. You look at yourself in the mirror, and as you linger there, suddenly you tell yourself, I don't like my hair. You begin rejecting the work that God has done in his own creation, and the spiral has begun. Instead of celebrating the reflection that you see, you begin to want to fix the image that says me. You want to fix your eyes, or you want to fix your nose. Then you look down complaining about your ugly crooked toes. The hair, it's short and kinky. Wish it was long and flowing. Where did these bulges come from? And tell me, why are they growing? I put on too much weight. Lord, why am I not thin? Why are you dissatisfied when you've been designed by him? Does any of it sound familiar? If you're honest, from time to time, we forget we are meant to be different, that we are his unique design. When God created heaven and earth, after everything, he stood and admired his creation and declared that it was good. You are created for a special work that only you can do, to fulfill an assignment a sovereign God created just for you. You're here for a purpose, to create something for him and connect with someone else to create something for them. We've each been handcrafted. He knows every hair on your head. He knows what makes you joyful, and he knows the things you dread. And since he's the faithful, loving, awesome Father that he is, he has a plan for everything, since everything is his. We are all very different, and we all have a different story. But whatever he placed in each of us is put there for his glory. We talk about being in our lane and being in the zone. Well, what God has for you, it is for you and you alone. There's no need to fall into the trap, no need to compare. Just give God a yes and cover everything in prayer. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Sometimes we forget you're an authentic creation, custom made by the ultimate designer, God himself. When you try to be something God has never designed for you to be or never intended for you to be, you can miss the joy of being you. And I'll stop right here to remind you that there is always someone else looking at you and wishing they could be in your shoes, wishing they had what you had, wishing they had the opportunity that you had, wishing that they were on the journey that you are on. And you are not appreciating who you are, how far you've come, and what you are doing. Think about that. Comparing yourself to others will often open the door for the spirit of competition that will plant seeds of doubt, self doubt, and defeat. You must be who you are called to be and do what you've been called to do. When you become dissatisfied with who you are, that's like suggesting God is incompetent. He designed you perfectly for his use and for his glory, and he knows exactly what he is doing. To be all that God has designed you to be, you have to see yourself as God sees you. Though I'm his creation, his one of a kind design, and I carry his DNA, you think that I'd be fine. But I have a question for you, and it only takes a minute. When you see your image, do you see what God sees in it? Selah. Others may be able to do what you do, but they can only imitate your signature in the way that it is done. Be motivated to express overwhelming gratitude for what he has placed in you rather than comparing yourself to someone else. Understand that you are a pattern. You are an original. And because of what God has placed in you, there is no need for you to forfeit who you are in an attempt to be like someone else. Have you ever had that experience? Have you ever kind of felt good about yourself and one time you think things are going okay and then you look at the way somebody else is blessed and you think, why isn't that me? Why didn't I get that blessing? What happened that I'm not being recognized? What happened that I didn't get the award? What happened that they didn't call my name? Why? Why is that happening? I tell you what, concentrate on what God has placed in you. the gifts and talents He has given you. Everyone has been designed by God, fearfully and wonderfully made, placed in the earth by God, tested by God, brought through struggles by God, and given purpose by God to be used for His glory. Now, when you learn to celebrate who you are and what is unique to you, you also learn that nothing about you is insignificant. Nothing about you is insignificant. You might not be the greatest orator of the century, but you might spend time with the greatest orator over baked cookies, offering words of hope and encouragement that could change their life. You might not become world famous, but you may have touched the life of someone who will become world famous because you showed an unexpected kindness. Maybe you give the gift of laughter. Maybe your testimony encourages. Maybe you are exceptionally good with children. Don't forget, we display Christ daily when we touch lives with the little things God places in us, as well as the great things that He does through us. You are valuable to the kingdom just the way you are. Most of us love to repeat the lyrics to the song that say, "What God has for me is for me." We say it, we are encouraged by it, but do we really believe it? If we do, why do we spend time comparing ourselves to someone else? If someone else gets the job or the house or the spouse or whatever we might think we want, we often begin to think of what we have compared to what they have, or trials or the tests that we've gone through that should have qualified us for that particular blessing. But God, in His wisdom, has designed every area of our life to fit each of us individually and perfectly. So, why should you compare yourself to anyone? You are in high demand for the building of His kingdom. I want everybody to remember that you, yes, you are in high demand for the building of His kingdom. Someone else's purpose is not your purpose, and someone else's path is not your path. You have the ability to do something special for God. You have the ability to do something special for God every day that He gives you breath. Something He has assigned to you and you alone. Something no one else can do. That's how special you are to Him. His will and His way will settle every issue in your life. Every now and then, it's good to remember how unique you are and how blessed you are. Good evening, Toronto. Welcome, welcome. You are so blessed, abundantly blessed, and God's not finished yet. Though the enemy wants you to spend your time at the wishing well of regret. I wish I had that better job, a finer car or house. I wish I had more money in the bank. And I was talking about that loving spouse. But don't stay focused on what you don't have in material, tangible stuff. Get a flashback of what God's brought you through, and that should be enough. Enough to send you into perpetual praise for where you are right now. Things may not be perfect, but they are better anyhow, because you're blessed. After all, He kept you alive to greet another day, and He is God with you. He's still there to lead the way. Your circumstance may be challenging, and your situation may not be the best. But no matter where you are today, you are still abundantly blessed. You serve a God who loves you and hears your every cry. He works things together for your good. He's not a man that he should lie. You have his favor, his grace, his mercy, his joy to keep you strong, his peace, and don't forget the faith you can activate all day long. Yes, you're blessed, abundantly blessed. Therefore, you have no choice other than to bless his holy name and rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. Rejoice for where you are right now and for how far you've come. You've been chosen for certain assignments because God said you're the one. No need for comparison. You are highly favored and selected to fulfill a certain need, and only you can be expected to do whatever God's called you to do and do it as only you can. You are the Father's handiwork, and you're unique to his plan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope that meant something to you. Hey, Bernice and Macy in the house and Victoria, good evening, everybody, everybody. I am so glad that you were able to stop in. You know, life in and of itself is challenging. It has its own sets of ups and downs. It has its own storms. It has its own tests and it has its own trials. And just like blessings are unique to you, so are the challenges that you face. And all of it is a part of purpose. All of it is part of the process of what God wants to do through you to bring the kingdom into the earth. We have to remember that we matter. We have to remember that, yes, we are chosen, we are selected, and we are definitely highly favored. But the journey that I walk is way different from what Bernice does. And that is way different than what Linda does, and different than what Angie does, different than what Macy does, different than what Paula does, which is different from what Francina does. And when you look at everybody else, when you're not feeling down and condemning yourself and wondering why you didn't get that blessing, you also look at the trip that the other people took. They didn't just wake up one day to where they are. They had a journey also. They have a story also. They had a path also. They faced storms also. They had tests also. They had trials also. There are things that they have gone through, things that they didn't embrace, things that have been hard for them, things that have kept them in a place sometimes almost paralyzed because of fear or because of pain or because of hurt. You don't know what they went through to get where they are. But God has sovereignly and divinely devised a plan for each one of us. Each one of us has a very different destiny. Each one of us has a very different call. Each one of us has something that is so unique. It's like the people. Now, here, I love sweets. Not like some people do. I don't have to eat them every day. But every now and then, boy, I want me a yellow cake with chocolate icing and some almonds sliced on top. But I can't bake a thing. Nothing. You know it's bad when you do a box cake for your child's birthday and she looks at you and say, "That's okay, mommy. You don't have to do that again." For shame, for shame, for shame. That's not my strong suit. So I can, enter the baking contest and come up against a chef who that's their calling. They can bake anything. They can bake it from scratch. They can bake it from a box. They can bake it from anything. But that's not what I'm good at. That's not what God has called me to do. He's not going to call me to cater the party at the White House. He's not going to do that. That's not what I am called to do. You need to seek his face. You need to be able to hear his voice when he guides you. And as he guides you, he's guiding you into your purpose. He's guiding you into your destiny. He is molding you and shaping you and getting you to the place where you can do what he's called you to do. And you can do it with ease and with excellence and with the spirit of a finisher. Hallelujah. And it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. We spend so much time looking at that other person and thinking, I want what they have. Be honest. Be honest. Sometimes you do. I want that. They look like they have a happy life. They look like they've got everything that they need. They look like they are on top of the world, especially with couples. They look like they have got it made. Oh, they're so loving. They're so kind to one another. And then you see the post and the notice that they're getting a divorce, that they're separating, that they're not together anymore. You can't see it all. You can't know it all. Only God does. Only God does. But when you wake up every day and you realize that he has kept your heart beating through the night, when you realize that you are awake because he has an assignment for you, when you have one of those days that a divine appointment happens, that you meet someone crosses your path, that you get a holy handshake, that you get a blessing that you weren't expecting, that surprise check in the mail came, that when you went to the bank this time, they gave you a yes instead of a no, when you got to your job and realized things had shifted, but guess what? In the shift, there was a promotion for you. Hallelujah. When you are doing all of these things, you know that somebody else is looking at you and saying, man, I wish that was me. I wish I was able to do that. But if you were doing what I'm doing, then something's lacking for somebody else because there's connectivity to it all. I am called to connect to somebody else. Bernice is called to connect to somebody that I don't even know. Macy is called to connect to somebody that none of us know. We've got people in Toronto and people in the Bahamas that are connecting to people that we will never get to meet. We will never get to know their story. But if we're not in place to do what we do, and if we're not there doing it the way that God designed for us to do it, something goes lacking. The puzzle is not complete. The picture doesn't look the way that it should. Learn to celebrate who you are and where you are right now. Sometimes it's good to sit still and think back. When I look back over my life, I know is Victoria's on the line. I know she knows that the verse, the lyrics to that. When I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that I've been blessed. I've got a testimony. And we all have a testimony that is unique to us. That is unique to us. There's a poster that we see all from time to time. It says, God doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't. He designed you the way that he did for a reason. For a reason. It's like watching designers when they design clothing, or stylists when they do hair, or different things like that. You can look at anything. You can look at food. You can look at anything. But then you can look at that lady in the daycare and say, man, she's got a way with children. She knows how to calm those babies. She knows how to just embrace them in a way that they feel loved and they can just snuggle up to her. That's their gift. I would not be the good person in the daycare. No, don't put me in the nursery. If they are beyond the rocking stage, that's not a good place for me. And I'm okay with that. And trust me, I know the children are. They love me, but Not necessarily all day long. But we all have our place. We all have our place. And sometimes we miss out. We can miss out on what God has put right in front of us because we're busy looking to the left and looking to the right and being at that wishing well of regret. And that is not what you want to do. Learn to celebrate who you are. Learn to celebrate your gift. Learn to celebrate your talents, and believe people when they compliment you. Sometimes it's the hardest thing to do when somebody compliments you and says, you are good at whatever goes behind it. You are so good at, and we want to think, well, no, maybe I'm not. Maybe that's not really what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, let me tell you something. I'm gonna share a little something with you. I used to be the kind of person that I'm not gonna necessarily say that I was shy, but I really didn't look people in the face. I wouldn't. Eye contact was very very difficult for me. And I have often told people that I worked on the 12th floor in an office building in downtown DC, and I could get on the elevator and I could go from 1 to 12, making 6 stops in between, and never be able to tell you whether men were on the elevator or women were on the elevator or anything, because I never looked at anyone. I didn't. Because if I looked at you, you may want to talk to me, and then I'd have to talk to you, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't. You do you, I'll do me, and we'll be good with that. And I ended up, to make a long story short, as a greeter at the River Church, which is a wonderful, wonderful house of God here in Durham, North Carolina. People looked at me and would say, "You are called to do that. You're called to do that. This is what you're supposed to do." Well, guess what? They didn't know where I was. They didn't know where God had brought me from and what God had done in me in order for me to be at a place where I could make anybody comfortable walking in that door. I say that to say God is placing in you whatever he needs to place in you so that he can use you for his glory. You don't know where he's going to lead you. You don't know your end from your beginning. He does. He does. He knows exactly what he wants you to do. So he's always working on you. We're talking about all things are working together for the good of those who love the Lord. He knows what you're going to need in order to fulfill the assignment. So don't just stop in the celebration now. Celebrate the next. Because whatever it is that he is putting inside of you, whatever it is he's working through you, whatever it is that he is blessing you with, it doesn't stop today. There is more in store, and there is more in store for the path that he wants you to be on, because it connects with the path that someone else is going to be on, which will connect to the path that someone else is going to be on. And you got to be in place. You got to be doing what you do, and you got to be doing it the best that you know how to do it. Have that spirit of excellence for whatever the assignment is. Have that spirit of a finisher for whatever the assignment is. And know that whatever you're doing, it's for you, and it is for you alone. Rejoice in it, because it's going to get better and better and better. And you always want to be in position to do his will, his way, and continue to be blessed. Hallelujah. How'd you like that tonight? Did that help anybody tonight? Did you enjoy that tonight? I certainly hope that you did, because every time we have an E2 session, it is just designed for you to be able to sit back and listen and hopefully have this evening of encouragement. So that's where we are tonight. Don't get caught. Don't get caught in the comparison trap. Don't get caught so busy looking at what other people are doing that you fail to celebrate where you are, what you have, and what God has designed just for you. That's it for this evening. It's all I got for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you will come back next week. Next week, as I said, we got Pastor Steve. He's coming back. He's going to be with us. He's our leadership guru. And I know that he has got some great things in store, some good nuggets. Because when he talks of leadership, it's not just about jobs and people in high places. It's for anybody and everybody. Because if you are alive, you're leading. You're leading something somewhere, somehow that you may not even realize or recognize. And you have influence. You an influencer. You may not even realize that. But everybody has a circle of influence. Yours may not be as big as mine. Mine may not be as big as somebody else's, but I got one. I got one. And I want to be sure that I am the best me that I can be to fulfill whatever God has for me to do in the earth. Sound good? I hope so. And I hope you will come back and join me next week right here for another edition of When Life Speaks. Because I tell you what, when life speaks, if you turn down the volume of life and you're ready to receive, when life speaks, you'll speak life. Good night, everybody. Good night, Bahamas. Good night, Toronto. Come on back next week. We'll be right here at 7 p.m. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful evening. See you next week.